I can't think of anything that I would rather be doing than not punching a time clock. I got out of the Air Force. An interesting story, maybe some of you folks might appreciate a little history about how college life has changed from the 1950s today. Very quick story, when you graduated from college in the first half of the 1950s, you were going into the military. You were going someplace, it was just a question of where and when. And when I graduated, our choices were, let's see, it was September 15th, November 15th, January 15th. Take your pick. It wasn't when you're going to go. And of course, everybody said, we want to go right now, but it didn't work that way. I ended up going in on November 15th. And when I got out, I went to work for Westinghouse in Bluefield, New Jersey. And by May of 1959, I had completed my requirements for a master's at Rutgers. Said goodbye to Westinghouse, and we started our first business in an 800 square foot storefront in East Orange, New Jersey. And in a matter of 5 months, we had a 30,000 foot facility in downtown Newark. And that company, to this day, Ad Inc., is still in business. Did we take any chances? I had 2 small children. Walked away from an income, a staggering income. $95 a week they were paying back then. That was amazing. Westinghouse really outdid themselves with that. But we went and we started, it was just an idea. We thought we could do something a little differently and a little better than somebody was doing. And if you think about 1959, that was an advertising service business, and it turned out to be very successful, obviously still going. We took the idea, talked to people, they said it won't work, talked to more people, it won't work. But we're going to try it anyway, and then somebody finally said, you know, sometimes I think they figure, well, you're kind of a pain in the neck. You just keep coming and bothering me, I'm going to give you a chance. And if you get a chance, you take that chance and you run with it and make it work, and that's what we did. And really, ESPN was the same thing. Back in the 1970s, there were no more than 25 college football games in an entire season on television. 25. And the only teams you would ever see were Michigan, Notre Dame, Oklahoma, Texas, Nebraska, Southern Cal, and some of the teams that are no longer football powers, but that was it. Didn't seem right. So we had this cockamamie idea about ESPN. Now, there are some other discouraging things that you go through before you get to the really good idea. I was working for the Hartford Whalers, got fired. Wasn't the first time or the last time, as it turned. Well, I guess it was the last time because I sold ESPN. I didn't get fired from there. But Memorial Day weekend, I was fired. I had been scheduled to do a TV show on the Whalers, and it didn't seem right to take a TV show after I was no longer working there. And I went to the local cable system. We began to talk about some things with a couple of fellows. And I said, you know, why don't we just do sports around Connecticut? UConn's there, Yale, Fairfield, some of the smaller schools, Wesleyan. We'll just do things in Connecticut. So we picked up the phone, called SNEPCO, Southern New England Telephone Company. Not exactly enamored with guys like me calling them. They want to do big business with big business. And I said, told them what we want to do, put this little network together. How long is this going to take to tie 9 cable systems in Connecticut together? He said, well, we'll have to do a study, and then we'll have to work out a few other things that I can get back to. I think we can be back and probably have you up and running in 18 months. 18 months. Can you imagine that, this day and age? If you have an idea tonight and you want to go online and look something up, and then you want to find out, between now and midnight, you can find out everything you want to know about your idea, and probably have 3 people around the world joining you and going forward and doing what it was. Well, anyway, he said, 18 months, we said we can't do that. So we thought, why don't we just start a television network on cable? We'll do it ourselves. We'll talk to the cable people, see what they say. One guy said, they got this new thing called satellite. Forestall Center, RCA America. RCA America. Why don't I call the guys, this 8 compatriots in Connecticut, we'll bring them all into one room, we'll sit around and talk, get some ideas, learn about what we can do. They brought the guys together, and the 8 guys had about 10 different ideas about how much it cost. They said, one guy said, well, you can do all of New England for this. Another guy said, no, you can do Eastern Mississippi for that. Another guy, you know. But one fellow had the most important idea. He said, why don't you call this gentleman the RCA Americana? Which we did. He came up and he said, gave us all the rates you can buy. 2 hours a night for this, 3 hours a night for that, whatever, on and on. He said, we used to have this rate, this 24-hour rate. But nobody ever bought one, and we don't even have, it isn't even a tariff anymore. And we said, well, what was that? Now, you will get this instantly, but RCA was missing something, or the cable industry was missing something. He offered us 5 hours a night for $1,250, or 24 hours a day for $1,143. We said, that can't be right. He said, well, that's what it is. That's the tariff. What? That's a pretty giant discount, wouldn't you agree? 24 hours for $1,143. We said, we'll take one. Called him back the next morning. He said, you'll take one of what? We said, we'll take a satellite. We'll take a transponder. You'll do what? What kind? 24 hours. It's the first 24-hour transponder they had sold other than to the military. So now we had a transponder, and we had to figure out what we're going to do with our transponder. 24 hours is a lot of time to fill. You might not think so on your busy day for campus. It fills up pretty quick with campus life. But if you're having to come on and do programming 24 hours that people are going to watch, it's so that you don't have to worry about figuring it out. It's 8,760 hours a year. And we wanted to do 8,760 hours of programming a year. We also had this cockamamie idea of doing a half-hour sports show called Sports Center. You think that's going to be a success, guys? You wouldn't believe the people who told us, ain't gonna work, no way, it is not going to work. We said, well, we think it's so good that we're going to put it on at 6:30 opposite NBC, ABC, and CBS nightly news. At that point, several people thought we were certifiable. That was it. There was no way that we could do that. Needless to say, Sports Center today is the longest running and has had more episodes than any program in the history of television. So I guess we probably guessed right now. All of this idea occurred on, I remember very specifically, it's my daughter's birthday, August 16, 1978. We were my son and I were in Haymont, Connecticut, driving down to Ocean Grove, New Jersey, to visit my daughter for her birthday. We get in the car, we're driving along outside of Waterbury. If any of you are familiar with Wooded before, in Connecticut, there's always construction. I guess that's true most anywhere. We got stuck in this horrendous traffic jam. There we were. What are we going to do? It's hot, we're sweating, no air conditioning in the car. So what are we talking about? What are we going to do with our transponder? What are we going to do with our transponder? What are we going to do with our transponder? And finally he said, I'm tired of it. I don't play football all day for all I care. I don't, well, so I said, why not? He said, I'll tell you why not. There's some NCAA, 25 games, you know, but I had some history in my days at NBC's television station in Springfield, Massachusetts. I knew some people at the NCAA, and we called them, and they said, come out and talk to us, and we'll see what happens, and obviously the rest is history. And there are probably, if I really thought about it, there are 100 times during the evolution of ESPN when it should have fallen apart, when it could have fallen apart. But I mentioned earlier about the excitement and the enthusiasm and energy. You just have to keep going. If you really believe it, you have to keep going and make it work. And that's what we did. And some people have called me a serial entrepreneur. My first business was in